concerned about what we do, what we talk about, how we spend the time. One of those assignments that we have as residents of a community, as a citizen of a country or a state, is that we come together like this, rub minds together, bring ideas, bring our thoughts together, without the pressure. Without fear. But as much as we get on radio, we know we have to implore civility. So it's okay to tell me that, oh, you're not happy with this, this is not going well in your own local community. But let's ensure we pass that message the right way. Because sometimes you feel that you are doing what is right, or you are saying just what is correct. One, you may be very incorrect, and you may deliver that the wrong way. And so it's more problem after another. Well, interesting times are here for us in Nigeria, and at this point, we have to get on with making efforts, putting efforts to get things a lot better. And so I welcome you on Paper Trends today, the Thursday edition of your favorite program. I'm your host today, BUKOLA FORTUNE-OMOSOLA. So let's get straight into this. ADC membership flooded with fake identities. VP Shettima slams opposition. Tax reforms won't make Nigeria poor, Shettima says again. In 2027, we have 31 governors in APC, more still coming, Governor Okwebolo. Madishel mocks PDP amid uncertainty over Dauda Lawal's next political move. Party dispute, secondary focus on addressing your image crisis, NNPP to INEC. Obi was not rigged out in 2023. Even 10 million votes wouldn't have made him president, Lai Mohammed. Still talking about 2027, no real opposition in Plateau, Governor Muthuang. Still on that, we must enforce all guidelines, regulations. INEC wants political parties. Atoyebi highlights benefits of new tax administration. That's a talking business. She says it's not just change of name. Saudi extends flight suspensions to multiple cities until March 6. Nigeria police understaffed, underfunded. In Lagos government threatens enforcement against 2025 land use charge defaulters. Adamu Garba says, speaks on Israel or Israeli Kurdish forces bombing Iran. It's going to be tough. Let's see sports very quickly, all in Daily Post newspaper today. Scholes takes dig at Carrick after Man United's 2-1 defeat to Newcastle. Piers Morgan predicts when Arsenal's title race with Man City will be over. Arteta reacts as Arsenal goes 7 points clear of Man City. All right, let's get to the nation now. State police has come to stay, necessary, inevitable, says IG. President's initiative on electricity transmission gets fake nod. Fintiri Adamawa will give Tinubu 85% votes. Tell Nigerians the truth about our reforms. Shatima charges ministers, agency heads. State police has come to stay, necessary, inevitable, says IG. PDP, ADC, LP members join APC in Edo. To this, Tinubu suspends airport cashless policy. You'll recall, we spoke about it here a few days ago, that there was a lot of hullabaloo at Lagos and Abuja airports where looks like this cashless policy was implemented. And so it started from there. The federal government thought to start it from there through Keyamo. And the question at that time was this properly announced before implementation? And if you followed, you must have heard what our analyst brought from that story. But here's an update. Tinubu suspends airport cashless policy. Okay, this catches my attention today, and it's being very, very interesting on social media. There's this new trend. I don't know if anything comes to your mind right now. It's a very, very new trend, very, very hot trend. Are you putting one and two together to know what I'm talking about? Okay, it's the Holy Spirit carry me trend. Yes, it looks like actress Juliana Olayode is not finding that very funny. Maybe not the trend particularly, but how responses have come to that. Actress Juliana Olayode criticizes misuse of Holy Spirit carry me trend. And you know where that stemmed from? There was a woman in a church who had to do a song, and oh well, we know where we are today. To some other stories coming from entertainment as captured by the Nation newspaper. Timaya from Dem Mama to enduring voice of Niger Delta. How I spent 5 years without movie role, Benedict Johnson. That's quite a popular name, and you ask, many names disappear. And you really want to know what's going on with them. So that story is right here in the Nation newspaper. And a few political stories in the Nation today. 2027, Atiku intensified Southeast consultations, meets ADC, Igbo leaders. Kefas sues for unity, inclusiveness, as Taraba APC elects new executives. Ocean 2026, INEC tasks political parties to adopt issue-based campaigns. Okay, this now, Vanguard newspaper. Boost for state police as IGP sets up panel on framework. Middle East war, Spanish PM, Prime Minister, takes on Trump after threat to cut trade ties. How federal government labor and the 2-year wage crisis. Nigeria's money supply drops slightly to 123 trillion naira. Customs strengthens revenue security drive at MMIA. Iranian military strikes Kurdish groups in Iraq. All right, this is how Vanguard puts the story. This is what it takes from that story. But having read through, you just pick different sides to whatever story that you have. So let's see this morning. Politics. INEC says party crisis distracting us, feeling apathy. Why I am keeping quiet. El-Rufai fires back at ICPC. Okay, so when someone is quiet sometimes, you never can tell. So what reasons is he giving this morning? We may just read through that and not necessarily dwell on what it has to say. I mean, there's a whole lot coming with this, and I'm sure that we'll have quite enough time to talk about El-Rufai and whatever quagmire he's swimming around at this time. And so, El-Rufai has been quite quiet, and you just want to know what's on his mind. Probably we have to be very careful. I don't know. These are some of the conversations that we get. APC jittery because opposition is gathering momentum. Daily Momodu. 2027, defecting governors tighten grip as APC gets new state chairman. We await Appeal Court judgment on Ibadan Convention. PDP Deputy National Publicity Scribe. And just a few stories from Punch newspaper this morning. State Police has also started with this. That's the top story today. State Police IG sets a panel to propose framework. And we know the position of the president. He has always wanted State Police. Soldiers kill notorious kidnapper, rescue 4 victims in Edo. Alleged terrorism. AGF takes over Malami Sons trial. Oyo 2027, jostle for Adelabu's ministerial seat hits up. Lagos prosecute 4,000 residents for illegal waste dumping. Party infighting, litigations disrupt election planning. INEC. I won't die anytime soon, Obasanjo declares at 89. Jigawa Federal Varsity expels 20, suspends 15 over exam malpractice. U.S.-Israel-Iran war, latest development in the Middle East. You can catch up with that in Punch newspaper. Okay, I will bring up my analysts now so we can talk about these interesting developments in Nigeria today. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Paper Trends on Midas Radio 90.5 FM. We're broadcasting live from Ado-Ekiti. And now we have our analyst for today, Mr. Shola Ayegusi, joining us on Paper Trends. It's great to have you join us today.
A very good morning to you and wonderful morning to our listeners. It's nice to be here.
Yes, indeed. Okay, so let's get straight into our discussion as we start from this. I mean, it's the top story today. Everyone has been concerned about this development, and we should talk about this. State Police, IG sets up panel to propose framework. And if you see, that's a punch anyway. If you see The Nation, this headline says, State Police has come to stay, necessary, inevitable, says IG. Let's take The Nation's version of that story. Riders to that says, say, 8-man panel gets 4-week mandate. Police chief warns against misconduct. State Police has come to stay. Inspector General of Police Olatunji Disu declared yesterday at the State House in Abuja. His disposition on the idea is a departure from that of other inspectors general before him, including the immediate past, Kayode Egbetokum. Even when President Bola Tinubu and governors had agreed that state police is the way to go in combating internal insecurity, Egbetokum opposed the proposal. But all of that changed yesterday as the 23rd IG began his tenure. Disu, whose appointment by the president was confirmed by the Police Council on Monday, took the oath of office and allegiance before President Tinubu at the council chambers of the Aso Villa shortly before the Federal Executive Council meeting. Disu thereafter inaugurated an 8-man team to prepare a position paper within 4 weeks on how the state police will work. Anybody would say that this is a highly welcome development. I don't know about you. How do you see this? What would be your position on how this, is unveiled? Yes, let's get straight to that.
All right. So, it's a good step, but then I need to say that it's a step that is coming quite late. Okay. These are things that we should have done probably 2-3 years or probably even 4-5 years ago. And that's because, we shouldn't wait until now. Thousands and thousands of people already gone. I mean, because of insecurity, banditry, terrorism, and all of that. So one would expect that, the APC government, okay, especially with the likes of President Bola Tinubu, who was, a party leader before and now president, they have always, mounted this idea of state police and all of that. So one would expect that when the APC came into power, these are some of the things they should have just, go ahead to do, okay? They talk about restructuring and all of that. But we didn't see that, really come to fruition during the tenure of President, late President Muhammadu Buhari. And now that we have President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he has kept, saying it. Okay, I remember last year he mentioned it, but it's not just about mentioning it. As a matter of fact, in the last 1 week, he had mentioned it twice. Okay. Talking to legislators at a dinner, break or fast meeting, blah, 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 and all of that. It is not just about talking about it. If you talk about it, but you don't take a step, at the end of the day, you are still not doing anything. So, it's good to see that, the new IGP is taking a step. I think this particular, topic is also more like a banana peel for the former IGP, Mr. Egbetokun, because for him, he actually believed in community policing. Okay, and if you look at the Police Act of 2020, there is a portion of it that actually supports community policing. So whereby you look at the environment, for example, Ekiti State, and you recruit people from local area, from different local government, within a state, so that they, of course, they will understand the terrain, they understand the people, they know how to be able to, ensure security within that particular environment. So for him, community policing was something that he would always go for. And, there are reports that because he doesn't support state police, that's probably one of the reasons he had to be booted out. But now that we have, Mr. Tunji Disu, who is taking a step, we also need to know that Section 214, subsection 1 of the Nigerian Constitution, as amended, says there shall be a federal police. No other police must exist in anywhere in Nigeria. No regional police. We have regional police, 64 up to about, 1964 up to about 1968. And then, it had to be collapsed into a federal police. So we need to go back to the Constitution. No matter what we are doing right now, if we don't go back to the Constitution and really push the legislators to change Section 214, we are just wasting our time. Now, don't also forget that this is coming in a year that precedes election. And we're going to have, a state police handed over to governors who may also be contesting. Okay? I hope that we will not have a logjam between the federal police and state police when elections begin. let me conclude by saying that state police is not a silver bullet. Even if you have state police today, that is not to say that all our terrorism problem and all of that will just fizzle away. Don't forget, human beings will still have to run this system. So our governors are ready to, allocate a substantial chunk of their budget to state police. Some state governors are still struggling to pay salaries. Would they be able to buy guns, as in good guns, not ding guns, not hunter guns? Would they be able to buy wonderful operational vehicles
and set the police architecture up appropriately?
Yeah. So there are many challenges with the federal police, isn't it? So if we put up a state police and it's not effective, we are still where we are. If it's not effective, if it's just a carbon copy of the federal police, we are still not there. We have always complained about the federal police. In fact, the federal police is so terrible that they beg money from you. They are so underfunded. They are so ineffective. Are we going to have a state police that is a lot better? Are we going to remunerate them in such a way that they'll be willing to lay their lives down for the state or for the country? Will they hear the guns of terrorists and bandits and run away, or they have the necessary weapons to combat these people? If we don't have all of these things, I'm sorry, we'll still be where we are.
Okay. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
So I also hope that our governors will not use this as a weapon against their own people. These are some of the issues, and so it will be good to look at the framework very, very well and ensure that we have a system that will not, we have a solution that will not create more problems for us.
Now,
there are many examples all over the world to copy from, but we must also, if at all we want to copy what happens in Germany or Canada or USA, we must be able to align it with our own reality, the Nigerian reality.
All right, because there's a headline in Daily Post saying that Nigeria police understaffed, underfunded in our Lagos, and that's a former commissioner of police in charge of the Federal Capital Territory FCT Abuja, who says that the Nigeria police is understaffed, underfunded, and under-equipped. He stated this on television. He also said the job of the Nigeria police force is done by the military and other security agencies. So there is a whole lot. He was reacting to the demand for creation of state police in the country, which has become a national debate. So he said state police in itself is not a bad thing. The big question is that, is state police responsible for the challenges of insecurity that we have today? The problem is because the police are understaffed, underfunded, unequipped. And so ordinarily, the job that should be that of the Nigeria police force is now warehoused in the military. Now, what do you pick from that statement there? So it's not because we do not, it's not because we should shift this to say we have federal police, we have state police. Yes, we know the defense, the language, you can speak the language better, you know the terrain, which is a plus. But we are not looking at the serious issues. You mentioned it already, underfunding and what have you. Do you think if all of this had been done, we would not have looked the way of state police? Does it cancel the place of the defense where we say people understanding the terrain, people speaking the language of the communities there and what have you? Are they the same thing? Do we put them together?
Yeah, so I think they can go together, especially when you don't have a state police. Okay, so of course, state governors can then say, you know what, let's recruit people within our state, okay, people who understand the environment and all of that. I also hope that governors will not turn this state police thing, okay, by the time it's now established, they will not turn it to an affair of, oh, you know what, let's recruit people who are loyal to us, party members. You don't do party member thing when it comes to security. One of the problems with the federal police also is about having competent people being recruited in there. There are some policemen who have no business in the police. I'm telling you. Because when you look at them, when you approach them, when you talk to them, you know that no, this person is not supposed to be in our police. So, so a lot of work, a lot of training, a lot of. I don't know whether you saw the video of the police coming to arrest this woman that is alleging Minister David Umahi. Yeah. So, there's a video of the police coming to arrest her. And of course, people didn't allow that to happen. And there's this video of them trying to leave the scene. You need to see the operational vehicle they brought. Very disgraceful. As in, very, very disgraceful. A lot, of course, Nigerians will not even want to do that. I wanted to say, maybe Nigerians should pay a visit to different police stations scattered all around. Okay? They don't have budgets to run those places. So, it is now the duty of those policemen and women who are there to generate money to run themselves. Okay, fuel, maintenance of vehicles and all of that. As a matter of fact, over the years, it's even state governors that have been supporting the federal police heavily. As in heavily. If you go to Lagos, for example, in fact, the state government has been supporting the police there so much, and that's what it is all across. Anyway, they buy operational vehicles for them. They buy, they support them. In fact, in Lagos, they pay them. You have the IRS team, trying to ensure that there's security all over Lagos and all of that, and they pay them apart from what the federal government pays them. So when we're going to have the state police, state governors should buckle up because they need to now start thinking out of the box. How do we accommodate this expense into our budget? They need to start thinking, how do we generate more money? Because if they rely on the money they have right now, it simply means that some of the projects they're supposed to do, maybe in education, in health, will be affected because security is expensive. It runs into billions. So if you don't generate more money and it's necessary for you to do state police, it means that something in education will suffer. Something in health will suffer because now you want to pump some money into security. Okay. So governors need to open their minds, generate more money, so that even if you're going to open up this state police thing in your state, you have the necessary funds. You're not going to operate it like Amotekun. Amotekun is not funded well. They don't have what it takes to buy guns, as in not Dane guns now. It's not cheapo.
All right. Let's see this. Party crisis distracting us, feeling apathy. INEC, and that's in Vanguard newspaper. Conduct credible polls to restore trust. Parties, others tell INEC. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, yesterday lamented that recurring leadership tussles and protracted intra-party disputes are diverting its attention from co-election planning and contributing to voter apathy ahead of the 2027 elections. INEC Chairman Professor Josh Amopito SEN raised the concern at the opening of a 3-day technical review workshop in Ikotekpene, Akwa Ibom State, where the Commission began a comprehensive review of its regulations and guidelines for political parties in line with the Electoral Act 2026. According to an INEC bulletin obtained by Vanguard in Abuja, the workshop, supported by the Westminster Foundation for Democracy, is aimed at strengthening the electoral framework and ensuring compliance with the new law as preparations intensify for 2027. Indeed, we'll continue to have all of these issues, disputes. Yes, the primary had issues, and I'm not accepting this. We're going to court. And you know how dramatic that gets. You get to the appeal, you get to the Supreme Court. It's quite a number of times. But it looks like the new law that we have to follow, with a new announcement by INEC, where, between April and early May or end of April 23, if that's very correct right now, you have to do all your primaries, and all litigations, all disputes have to be settled. One thing is, does that come well for you? But again, we want to look at the time frame that we have. Is it enough time for people to, even people who have legitimate reasons, who have legitimate evidences, would that be enough time to push their case, to say, no, I actually want this, I won the primary, and I should be the one being the candidate. So it's a whole lot. How do we manage this time frame that INEC is starting up with right now, and the real issues we must discuss when it comes to accountability and transparency with our electoral processes?
You see, there was a town hall meeting, of civil society groups and all of that last week, discussing the Electoral Act and all of that. And of course, that was where the INEC chairman actually made the assertion that, don't expect a perfect
100%.
election. And of course, the papers had to carry that. Okay, so the IPAC chairman, made a very important, statement at that meeting. He mentioned that with what we have on ground, it will be pretty difficult for a lot of parties to put themselves together to meet up with some of these deadlines. Well, for APC, because they are more organized, and of course, they also have a picture of how things will be, because, of course, they are in the executive, they are also more paramount in the in the legislature. So they have a picture of the kind of electoral act they want. And so it's more like playing from the answer to the question. So for APC, they have it all put together, so to say. And of course, you look at the recent, registration of their members and all of that.
Right.
So for other parties, well, they might likely struggle. But then that's also a signal to them to say, you know what, let's put our hearts together. Let's do what we need to do, to ensure that we are able to participate in the election. Because if opposition parties do not participate in the election, then we don't have an election. An election is meant to be between the incumbent and, of course, other parties who feel like, competing. But when we have a situation whereby people are not able to meet up with the deadline, and then automatically they don't feature in the election, then, that's not democracy. That's not election, so to say. So it's unfortunate that we spend so much time on the electoral bill, which now became electoral act, without doing it, quickly. As a matter of fact, going by the story you read about INEC complaining about issues of parties and all of that, disturbing them. Just yesterday, there was a court injunction order by judge telling the INEC chairman to appear in court because the INEC chairman disobeyed a court judgment, I think, for NPC party or thereabout. So these are some of the things you will see, going forward. PDP issue is still there, but don't forget, all of these things also you can tie down to the unhealthy kind of politics that will play in Nigeria. When you intentionally cause trouble in other parties, now those troubles would definitely have an effect on INEC. And we can now see that INEC is also complaining. So my advice to INEC is that INEC needs to be firm, or maybe I should say firmer, on all parties, whether APC, whether PDP. You must be able to, position yourself in such a way that they see you as a body that they can't toy with. Your guidelines should be straightforward. You don't pander to any particular party. You are just serving everybody, because at the end of the day, if because of some of these other issues you don't then deliver a credible election, it's a pure waste. The next election that we're going to have, we're going to spend more than 850 billion. If we don't get a credible election out of 850 billion, that's a pure waste. As in a very, very pure waste. 850 billion is so much. Imagine sinking that into our education. Imagine sinking that into our health. So we need to, INEC needs to put his heart together and ensure that we don't have unnecessary excuses.
Indeed. Okay, let's get to talking about students now, or do we leave that before we get there? we'll talk about education, what it's been with students now, how we got to this level, and probably the way out of this. But let's just talk quickly, very quickly, about El-Rufai. I said earlier that there's a whole lot I feel, or I fear, we may have to talk about later on. But right now, let's just stay with this. Why I am keeping quiet. I mean, it's common knowledge. It's everywhere that El-Rufai has really not made any, El-Rufai rather, has really not made any statement. And you're wondering, when someone is quiet this way, whether you attack them, whether you say what's wrong, whether you insult them, they just keep quiet. Is there something we should be bothered about? So El-Rufai fires back at ICPC. Former Kaduna State Governor Nasir Ahmed El-Rufai has explained why he refused to answer investigators' questions, saying his decision to remain silent was deliberate and based on his belief that the probe by the ICPC is politically motivated. In written responses to ICPC agents, the former governor presented his silence as both a constitutional right and a protest against what he described as a politically driven investigation. He insisted that he would only respond to any allegations in court. The position was contained in two handwritten statements but he made under caution on 19 and 20 February 2026 while in ICPC custody and in the presence of his lawyer, Ubong E. Akman. So the silence of El-Rufai, I mean, it's a serious issue. It's a serious matter. Wiretapping, whatever name it is called. Now, recently on Tuesday, we read here on Paper Trends what was picked from his residence, and it wasn't very clear. We don't know whether some other items mentioned there were those wiretapping materials. It's not clear, but according to all that was listed, we did not find anything as such. And so the analyst then had said, well, he was waiting to also hear if they were going to say, oh, this particular wiretapping, this instrument or equipment was found, until he saw that. But let's see, his silence tells us that he's very, very sure, or he knows that a lot will go down if they probe further. I don't know, but that's what this tells anybody. How do you react to this?
You see, we've got to be very careful. For me, I mean, and I've said it before, I don't really see any substantial stuff coming out of this case. That's number one. Number two, I think ICPC needs to be more professional. Okay? If you really want, and that's why I have my doubt about the case. If you really want to take this case, I mean, you want to take it end to end, you don't make unnecessary noise. Okay? It is very clear from the list they provided in the dailies, okay, as per what they took from his house. There was nothing that really pinpoints to a wiretapping equipment there. And I think that the media also has a responsibility in all of this. So if the daily say, hey, ICPC says, they found so as an headline, imagine, as an headline, did the dailies do a painstaking job to say, ICPC, this is your claim. Is there any evidence to back this up? We must be careful. I mean, because in Nigeria, sometimes our daily, of course, they want to sell. So they want to give you one powerful, headline, so to say. And by the time you look at the content of the thing, you can see very clearly that there is nothing really that points to the fact that, oh, there's a wiretapping thing in here. Okay, that's number two. Number three, El-Rufai keeping quiet. Of course, he understands the law. Okay, he's well read also. So it's a strategy for him. Yeah, it is a strategy for him, because when you go to such interrogation and then you begin to say this and say that, whatever you see at that point, can be used against you. And the people that are going to interrogate him are specialists. So sometimes these people interrogate you, even those things you're not supposed to say, you might end up saying.
Right.
Okay, so I think it's a strategy for him. And guess what? He also knows these people very well. They know themselves. In fact, they also know about their own dirty stuff they've done together. Okay, so I'm sure that in his mind he's saying, okay, let's see how this goes. That is not to say that El-Rufai does not deserve a day in court. El-Rufai needs to account for what happened in Kaduna and so many other things he did. Okay, but I just hope that this government is serious about this case. At the end of the day, if El-Rufai begins to also blast some things about some of the people in this government, and then the government's hand is tied, and at the end of the day, we don't have any good thing coming out of this case, then maybe at that time, we'll all remember that I said, this case might not just go anywhere. And so for him, I think he's preparing himself to appear in court and then, answer their questions right there. But then he has the right to remain silent. Definitely, even when he's interrogated. What the federal government should have done is to do their investigation very well. That is the standard practice. You do your investigation very well. You have your cast iron evidences. Then you sue him to court. You don't sue him to court, then you are now doing investigation. It doesn't make sense. Now, guess what? This is one of the problems of our federal police. Our federal police will pick you up, will arrest you, then they will say they are doing investigation. It doesn't make sense. You do your investigation. In fact, even without the knowledge of the person you are trailing, after you have your cast iron evidences, then you sue him to court. So much so that when you get to court, you are very, very sure. This is another thing that happens also in EFCC. EFCC have lost many cases. Why? Because they don't have a watertight case. They don't do their investigation. They take you first. Then they will start getting their evidence from your mouth. It doesn't make sense. You do your investigation first. Use every resources at your disposal to do that. Then you can then sue, whosoever you want to sue. That's the standard practice.
All right, let's get to education very quickly. In 1 minute or about two, Jigawa Federal Varsity expels 20, suspend 15 over exam malpractice. That's in Punch. The Senate of a federal university, DISSECT in Jigawa State, has approved the expulsion of 20 students and the rustication of 15 others over their involvement in examination malpractice. This is contained in a statement signed by the Director, Academic Affairs, Nora Danata, and issued in DISSECT by the university's Director of Public Affairs, Abdullahi Yahya Bello, on Wednesday. The statement indicated that the action was based on the recommendations of the Senate Committee on Examination Misconduct for the second semester of the 2024-2025 academic session. It disclosed that the Senate also approved the exoneration of 2 students and issued written warnings to 3 others. Examination malpractice, you wonder, how do these kids start? I mean, you have conversations with people and, just recently somebody made a statement and said that, and I was amazed that whatever is happening with US, Iran, and does not affect Nigeria. And I was trying to say, how well are you alive to your environment? Do you know what's even going on at all? How do you say that what's happening with the US, Iran, and Israel and what have you does not affect Nigerians? I don't know. So when you talk about this, I mean, coming to that level, university, and you're still doing this malpractice, is it lack of concentration? Is it poor background? Is it a poor learning environment? What is it? What do you think? Where should we be looking at?
You see, the standard of education, no doubt, is falling by the day. Okay, there's a report in the Vanguard this morning, okay, about a report of a lot of Nigerians taking their children out of, private school, and many of them, even those in public school are not getting a fair deal. And as a matter of fact, that report says that about 5 million children have had to drop out of school because of prevailing economic issues and all of that. So our education sector is not really doing well. Okay, governors prefer to do bridges than to give a very solid education to their population. So, and then the question is, how many students still read today? How many students still read, as in read very well? How many students actually did their WAEC and NECO by themselves? 100%. Even in public schools, you get support. And I can say this anywhere, even in Ekiti. public schools, you get support, given to students in WAEC and NECO exams. So if these people are used to some of these things, they are distracted. In fact, a lot of our young people now take to drugs, addiction everywhere. Some of them embrace entertainment. Just ask them for the lyrics of any music.
Oh.
They will give you, immediately. But tell them, ask them about some of the things they learned in their secondary school. They may not be able to give you. So we have a generation of people who are not sound, really. I'm telling you. A generation of people who are not sound. They are loud. They are lousy, but they are not sound out there. So it behoves on the government to look at some of these things and say, where do we go from here? Okay, why would somebody still be cheating, at the level of the university, even when he knows that he's likely to be suspended or expelled? He still goes ahead to cheat. And guess what? At the end of the day, even by the time you get that certificate from that university, you are not sure of getting a job. You might just be jobless for another 5 or 7 years. So for government, I think there's a lot to be done. And then for families also, okay, we cannot put everything on government. For families also, how exactly are you nurturing your children? Like father, like son. Okay, a lot of parents are not there, as we speak. So you cannot give what you don't have. Okay, so a lot of parents need to do better in training their child, giving them the kind of training that can make them relevant to society and not bring disgrace to them.
All right, then. Thank you very much. Our time is fast spent. Well, that's what we'll do today. Join my colleague tomorrow to enjoy more and, of course, more time to share your thoughts with us for persons listening to the program this morning. Let me say thank you to my analyst today, Mr. Shola Ayebusi, who's been here with us talking about latest development from the newspapers. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much. Have a great time.
And you too. All right, at 8:30 from Midas Radio 90.5 FM, and that's a Paper Trends today. Thank you very much for listening. Stay tuned and keep it locked on Midas Radio 90.5 FM. I am BUKOLA FORTUNE-OMOSOLA. Have a beautiful Thursday. Bye-bye.
This is Midas Radio 90.5 FM. Unrivaled entertainment non-stop. Get ready to groove.